Departments who have refused to conform to the budget demands of the Wayne County Commission. Departments whose leaders never took steps to correct their budget problems. Departments that found it easier to go out and get a court order to prevent the budget cut. They refused to make tough calls and reduce their costs. They refused to get with the reality of the times. This is not the way to run a county. When we pushed it, they then got court orders which took us out of the loop, so they just spent the money no matter what we told them it was going to be. And that's what's particularly frustrating to me. All during my career, all during our careers, we've prided ourselves on leadership skills. We've always taken on the toughest jobs head on. We knew what we had to do. We did it when we had to let go of 1,500 people. But I've told you how to get out. We got into this mess. What I haven't told you is there is a way out of this mess. There's a lot of things we can start doing. We have to start, first of all, by stopping budgets by lawsuits. There is legislation in the state which will stop people from suing the county commission when they don't have enough money and continuing to spend their money while it takes 3 or 4 years to go through the courts. We presented them with solutions, but most of these departments would rather continue business as usual. And there are answers. We've offered to let them hire back sheriffs that are retired at 75% of their base pay. We hear from hundreds of them. They want to come back. We could eliminate $15 million a year in sheriff overtime. We could retool the juvenile detention center, which they admit will realize $8 million a year in savings. We could pool the court bailiffs and stenographers, which we realize would save $3 million a year in savings. We could reduce 6 circuit court judgeships that the Supreme Court tells us that we can reduce, but for some reason, but the courts refuse to, their own courts. That would save us another $9 million. We're still carrying the 62 judges we carried when we had 3 million people in this county. There's other things that we can do. We can charge for tether use. We can charge for indigent health use. This would realize $1 to $5 million. There's dozens of these kinds of examples that we could take on if we could get around these court orders. The commissioner's hands must be untied. It was only a dozen years ago, Wayne County was the best run county in the state. Believe it or not, it really was. It won an award. It won it for many years in a row. It received accolades for its innovative and efficient programs like health care for the homeless and juvenile justice system that had 80% success rate, and it saved tens of millions of dollars by giving these people these things. We built a $2 billion airport that's one of the finest in the whole world. When the Tigers and the Lions wanted new stadiums, they didn't go to the city, they didn't go to the state, they went right to the county because the county got things done. The trains ran on time, the budgets were balanced, innovation meant increased services with decreased prices. We can be that county again. The commissioners up here do want that challenge. We're tired of getting blocked by these things. I'm getting 1 minute, but I'll just say in closing, Wayne County can work, and we're going to take these things seriously, and we're going to keep on pushing and hammering until we get this thing done and right. We're going to continue to make Wayne County a nice place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
I'd like to once again recognize our sponsors for this event, including ASC and News Herald, who did not have representatives at the head table. I'd also like to now recognize any elected officials who are in the audience, so please stand if you're an elected official. Well, we have 5 great elected officials in the front here. So. I have just a few announcements and then we'll move on to the question and answer phase. After business hours will be hosted by Crystal Gardens Banquet and Conference Center on Thursday, August 24th. October 24th. There are prizes for the best costume, so please call Marcy to set up for Mini Expo. The Morning Spark will be hosted by Ipsum Total Marketing, and it will be held at the Matador Restaurant in Taylor on Friday, November 1st from 8 to 9 a.m. Bring a friend and you can qualify to win a free iPad. RSVP to Marcy at the Chamber. If you do have your phone out for this next event, please get your calendar out. As Commissioner Basham talked about the feel of Downriver and the real sense of community at Downriver, we have the Downriver Regional Branding Workshop on Thursday, November 7th. It will be held at the Wayne County Community College District Downriver campus in the Education and Performing Arts Center in Taylor from 8 to 5. The registration fee includes a continental breakfast, lunch, refreshments throughout the day, and all the training materials. Again, that is Thursday, November 7th at Wayne County Community College District, Downriver campus. The next legislative forum is here at Crystal Gardens on November 18th, and we will be hosting speakers from the Michigan House of Representatives at 11:30. Please call Mary Jarosz at the Chamber for opportunities to sponsor that event. Our annual Salute to Government Officials, presented by PNC Bank and hosted by the Farman Group, and sponsored by Comcast and DTE, will be held on Thursday, December 5th at the PNC Bank branch on Trenton Road on the 5th floor in Southgate. That event runs from 5:30 until 8 p.m. and call the Chamber for more details. And finally, Leadership 21 is about to begin, that wonderful program that's offered by the Chamber of Commerce. Please call Sandy if you have anyone that's interested in attending and participating in that Leadership 21 program. For more information about these and other events from the Chamber, please go to the Chamber's website at www.swcrc.com. I would now like to recognize our student groups. We have Gabriel Richard, please stand up. They were sponsored by Glab's Financial Planning. Cabrini High School, sponsored by Elder Home Care. Cabrini. And Southgate Anderson High School, sponsored by Baker College. I'd ask that the student groups please stay after the event to have their pictures taken with the commissioners. And we'll move on to question and answer. I'd like to ask each commissioner, I'm going to remove the mic, hopefully it doesn't bad happen here. Each of the commissioners real quickly to give us what they think their biggest challenge as being a commissioner is in Wayne County.
Well, I think for me, the biggest challenge that the county has faced is one that you might not expect, but it's something that Commissioner McNamara touched on. It's the fall in property tax revenues. All of the other stuff that's gone on, all of the other headline stuff, and all of the other and mismanagement and problems and investigations, and in some cases, some of the executive staff has gone to jail. None of that helps, but what's really hurt the county the most is the drop in property tax values, property values. And to put it more in perspective, Commissioner McNamara mentioned that we are down $100 million a year. Put that in perspective, that we're talking about a pot roughly of $300 to $400 million that we started with as general fund money. The county's got a $1.5 billion budget, but a lot of that is federal and state grants and pass-throughs from programs. But the actual general fund that we have much discretion over, we've gone from about $360 million a year to $260 million a year in a very short time. And that's the sort of revenue drop you can't make up with simple cuts. You have to really restructure how you do business, and we've not been able to, because we still have to deliver services under the law. The sheriff has to be able to put people in jail under the law. The prosecutor has to be able to prosecute people. The clerk and treasurer and register of deeds have vital record keeping and other functions that are important that we still have to fund, not to mention the fact that we still have to make sure that the roads get plowed in the winter. So it's the revenue drop, I think, that has been the most challenging for us to deal with, and part of the frustration comes from the fact that it gets lost among some of the other noise that's been going on around. So I'll pass it down, and we'll hear from my colleagues.
Thank you. I think the budget for me is probably the most challenging as well, because everything we do revolves around the budget. Personally, because I do chair the Public Safety Committee, just to make people understand that you can't spend money that you don't have. And because the sheriff's department is the sheriff is a constitutional officer, we as a commission under the current system cannot tell him how to run his business. And that goes actually for all the elected officials, the clerk, the courts, the register of deeds, all the elected officials. And so that has really been a real big draining on our system. And basically, because of the things that I would like to see funded that are not funded are very frustrating to me. And one happens to be the drug unit in the sheriff's department. I just think that was the most value-added program that we had, aside from the charter mandated that the sheriff has to do, that he did us extra, and he no longer has that unit working. So I think for me, the programs that suffer because of the budget, it really does hit home very hard, especially me having to represent the small cities, medium, and a large city. So the budget definitely is, and I think we're working the best that we can as a commission, but we're not getting the cooperation of everybody else. And so if we can live in our budgets, with the chair giving us a certain budget for each of us in our district budgets, if we can live within it, and some of us give money back, and it's only about $100,000, you can imagine how I feel when the sheriff doesn't live within his budget, or tries to at least. So let's see what Joe has to say.
Thank you, Ilona. Well, the third way, maybe in a little bit different way of saying the same thing, is our biggest challenge is the accumulated deficit that we're facing, and quite frankly, staving off a financial emergency manager. It is very challenging, and there are some who suggest that the way to do that is to raise taxes, and to do that we'd have to go to a vote of the people. Well, here's one person, and I know I'm not alone on this panel, that does not believe that raising taxes is the right thing right now in Wayne County. We have to get our house in order first before we even contemplate going to the people and asking you all to give us more of your hard-earned tax dollars. So we're going to have to cut and better manage and be more efficient to try to balance those books. But raising taxes is not the answer. Mr. Basher.
Everything's been said by everybody. But in addition to that, I think my biggest challenge facing Wayne County, actually it's everybody's challenge, is to be effective. And to be effective, you have to learn to work together. It was interesting in the legislature with term limits, by the time you get to know your colleagues and who they are, and to learn how to trust each other regardless of your ideologies, they were termed out. They don't have term limits in the county commission, but to get to know the other 14 of your colleagues and try to be effective so that you can get things done is a challenge, and I think it's something that's we're working on. Thank you.
Thank you. My biggest challenge right now is the jail, since I'm in the jail task force. State of Michigan really wants us out of downtown. They want us to move out of downtown, and they want us out of there badly, and quite frankly, they're willing to be partners with us on some aspects of this jail. So the idea that we've got right now is what are all our wish list of all the problems we're having, including court suing us. Can the state help us get that undone and build out the best facility we can build out for the money we have left. So I'll be concentrating on the jails and finish up my Head Start problems.
I'd like to thank the commissioners for their time today and their comments. And I'd like to thank the rest of you for being here today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, let's conclude with the Pledge of Allegiance. So everyone please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.